3 socks on each foot, and the floor still felt like needles at 2 in the morning. That was me at 76. Not every night, but enough nights that I started dreading going to bed. I'm 83 years old. I've had blood sugar problems for going on 19 years. And I want to tell you something that took me almost a decade to piece together. Something nobody sat me down and explained at any appointment, in any waiting room, or in any of the pamphlets they hand you when they first say the word diabetic. The tingling in your feet, the numbness, the burning that wakes you at midnight, the cold that doesn't go away even when the room is warm. That is not just age. That is not just diabetes being diabetes. There is a mechanism behind it, and once you understand the mechanism, a small handful of the right food starts to make a very different kind of sense. Stay with me, because what I found, and what research has been pointing to for years, is something your doctor genuinely may not have had time to explain to you. Not because they don't care, but because the appointment is 8 minutes, they have 17 other patients, and what I'm about to cover takes longer than 8 minutes to get right. Drop your morning blood sugar number in the comments right now. Just the number. Because what I'm going to share today applies differently depending on where you're starting. Here is what's actually happening in your feet. And I need you to hear this clearly, because most people live with this for years without ever being given a name for it. When blood sugar runs high over months and years, your body produces what researchers call advanced glycation end products, AGEs. That name matters. Glycation is the process of sugar molecules bonding to proteins they were never supposed to touch. And the structures those sugar-coated proteins damage most are your smallest blood vessels and your peripheral nerves, the ones that run all the way down into your feet and toes. Research published in Nature by Dr. Michael Brownlee identified this mechanism as the central driver of diabetic complications, including the nerve damage that produces exactly what you feel at night: the burning, the tingling, the cold, the numbness. It is not mystery, it is chemistry. High glucose over time creates a compound that corrodes the wiring in your legs. The microvessels that feed those nerves, vessels thinner than a human hair, lose their ability to deliver oxygen and nutrients to the nerve fibers they supply. The nerve fibers start to deteriorate, and what you feel is that deterioration. A 2017 consensus statement from the American Diabetes Association confirmed this process as the primary driver of peripheral diabetic neuropathy. So when people tell you your feet are just getting older, that's not the whole story. The story is that high blood sugar has been working against your nerves for years. And the question that nobody asks clearly enough is, what does the body need to keep blood sugar from doing that damage in the first place? That is where the seed comes in, and the connection is one of the most overlooked in diabetes nutrition. If your feet burn at night, or go numb, or feel cold no matter how many socks you wear, please don't ignore it. I almost did, and I'm 80 years old. For years I told myself it was just age, the tingling, the heaviness in my legs climbing the stairs. But it wasn't age. It was my blood sugar quietly damaging the nerves and the circulation in my legs. And almost nobody warned me in time. If you let it keep going, those little signals turn into something you can't undo. I wasn't willing to lose my feet or my independence. So I started doing one thing every single day to help support healthy blood sugar and protect my legs. I'll show you exactly what in this video. And if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. There is a mineral your insulin receptors cannot function without. Not function well, cannot function. And most people living with blood sugar problems are deficient in it, often without knowing. That mineral is magnesium. Think of insulin as a key and the receptor on your cell as a lock. Magnesium is not the key. Magnesium is what keeps the lock mechanism moving smoothly. When magnesium is adequate, insulin arrives, fits the receptor, the lock turns, glucose enters the cell, and blood sugar drops. When magnesium is low, insulin shows up, fits in the lock, but the lock barely turns. The glucose stays in your bloodstream, your blood sugar stays elevated, and the chain reaction of damage I just described keeps running. Research published in the archives of biochemistry and biophysics found that between 25 and 38% of people with type 2 diabetes have measurably low magnesium levels. Not marginal, measurably deficient. And the connection matters because when magnesium is low, insulin sensitivity goes down, blood sugar stays higher than it should, and the very mechanism that damages peripheral nerves and small blood vessels keeps running with less resistance. Your doctor is managing your glucose numbers, but if the mineral that makes insulin work properly is quietly depleted, you are trying to manage a fire while the sprinkler system is off. The seed I eat every single day is a pumpkin seed, raw, unsalted, about a palmful once a day, usually in the evening. 1 ounce of raw pumpkin seeds contains approximately 150 milligrams of magnesium, nearly 40% of the daily requirement in a single handful. According to USDA data, pumpkin seeds are among the highest food sources of magnesium available. They are not expensive. A large bag at Costco runs about $8 and lasts over a month. A palmful a day costs less than 30 cents. I keep the bag on my kitchen counter so I don't forget. That's the system. I'm not telling you this one seed will fix your feet. I'm telling you that research points to a consistent pattern. People managing blood sugar who have adequate magnesium show better insulin receptor response, which helps the glucose management, which helps reduce the ongoing glycation that damages nerve and vessel tissue. That is a chain of support, not a cure, not a guarantee, but a real and defensible chain. And I want to be clear about something. I take my medication. I talk to my doctor before adding anything, and I'd encourage you to do the same, especially if you're on blood pressure medication or kidney support, because magnesium interacts with both. What I'm describing is a support layer, not a replacement layer. Alongside your doctor's plan, not instead of it. Now, and this is the part I want you to pay close attention to, the seed alone is not enough. I learned that the hard way. You don't solve a system problem with one ingredient. You need the system. Here's what I've built around that palmful of pumpkin seeds, and why each piece matters for your feet specifically. The first edition is a 10-minute walk after dinner. Not a mile, not a workout. 10 minutes around the block or through your house. The moment your muscles start moving, they activate a glucose transporter called GLUT4 that operates independently of insulin. It physically pulls glucose out of your bloodstream without waiting for your insulin receptors. Research on exercise physiology has consistently shown that even brief post-meal movement significantly reduces the post-dinner glucose peak, the spike that drives glycation overnight while you're sleeping. If your feet burn at night, what happens to your blood sugar between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. matters enormously. A 10-minute walk changes that window. The second edition is protein at breakfast before anything starchy. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, whatever works for you. Research published in Diabetes Care has found that eating protein before carbohydrates at the same meal triggers a gut hormone called GLP-1, which slows how fast glucose enters your blood and stimulates a gentler insulin response. The same carbohydrates eaten in a different order produce a meaningfully smaller glucose spike. Less spike means less glycation accumulation overnight. Less glycation means the nerves in your feet face less ongoing damage. The third edition is sleep. Specifically, a consistent bedtime and a cool room. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that even a single night of partial sleep disruption increased insulin resistance across multiple metabolic pathways the following day. One night, not chronic deprivation. Your fasting number the morning after a bad night is not random. Your cortisol spiked too early and your liver released stored glucose into a system that was already insulin resistant from poor sleep. A bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees and a consistent bedtime are not small things. They are part of what determines whether your blood sugar stays high enough to keep damaging your nerves. Pumpkin seeds, post-dinner walk, protein first at breakfast, consistent sleep in a cool room. That is the system. The seed is the entry point, not the whole answer. A woman who comments on this channel regularly. She's 77, has had diabetes for 14 years, lives alone in Georgia, wrote to me about 3 months after she started building around the magnesium. She said the tingling hadn't stopped completely, but the midnight burning that woke her 3 or 4 nights a week had gotten noticeably quieter. She'd talked to her doctor, her numbers had shifted, and she'd finally started sleeping past 2 a.m. most nights. She didn't credit one thing. She said the system felt different. That's the honest account I can share, not a clinical claim, a pattern I've heard repeated enough times to take seriously. If you made it this far, you already understand more about your own legs than most people your age ever will. That matters. You know now that the burning, the numbness, the cold feet, they trace back to one thing: blood sugar slowly working against your nerves and circulation. And you know the goal isn't a miracle. It's protecting your ability to stand, to walk, to stay independent. That's why, alongside everything I showed you today, I use a simple daily support to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range, so my legs keep carrying me where I want to go. I put the free presentation in the description below. Go watch it. And as always, keep working with your doctor. This supports your routine. It doesn't replace it. There is one more thing I want to say before I send you to the link below. Not about the seed, about you. Think about the older people you know. The ones who are still walking to the mailbox themselves, getting up off the couch without planning it first, going to see their friends. And the ones who aren't. The ones who need someone to drive them. The ones who stopped trusting their own feet on stairs. Most of the time, the difference isn't a single dramatic event. It's the quiet years, the nights of disrupted sleep nobody investigated, the magnesium that drained away slowly, the tingling that started mild and was explained away, the system that was running low on something small and fixable long before it became something hard to reverse. You noticed the tingling. You're still asking questions. That matters. That is not nothing. If you want to support your blood sugar and your nerve health naturally, alongside your doctor's care, not instead of it, I've put together something at the link below that walks through exactly how to build this kind of support layer day by day. Tell me in the comments, how long have you had the tingling or numbness? Just the time. I read every single one and I want to know where people are starting. I'll see you in the next one.